The moment that changed everything happened on a Monday morning in October, when my courtroom doors opened and in walked someone who carried one of the most famous last names in entertainment history, someone who'd spent her entire life trading on her father's legacy while claiming to be her own person. Paris Jackson, 26 years old, daughter of the late Michael Jackson, the king of pop, model, actress, musician, and social media influencer with 4.5 million Instagram followers. A young woman who'd inherited millions from her father's estate and spent years in the public eye, claiming to be an advocate for mental health, for authenticity, for treating people with kindness. She walked in wearing vintage designer clothes that screamed carefully curated rebellion. A Vivienne Westwood jacket worth $2,500, Doc Martens boots, multiple tattoos visible on her arms and neck, her blonde hair styled in that effortless, expensive way. Behind her came 5 attorneys from one of Los Angeles's most prestigious firms, 3 publicists who'd been managing her image since childhood, a representative from the Jackson family estate, and her current boyfriend, also a musician, filming everything on his phone for their social media. But sitting in the gallery, looking exhausted and afraid, was someone who represented the invisible workers who served the Jackson family for decades without recognition or respect. Rosa Hernandez, 58 years old, hotel housekeeper at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills for 22 years, mother of 4, grandmother of 6, an immigrant from Guatemala who'd worked her way from cleaning offices to one of the most prestigious hotels in America. A woman who took pride in her work, who treated every room like it was her own home, who'd cleaned rooms for presidents, celebrities, royalty, always with dignity and professionalism. 4 weeks ago, she'd been assigned to clean Paris Jackson's suite on the 10th floor. Paris had been staying there for 2 weeks, reportedly working on new music and avoiding paparazzi. The suite was a disaster. Room service trays everywhere, alcohol bottles, cigarette burns on furniture, damage that would cost thousands to repair. Rosa had knocked, announced herself clearly, waited the required time, then used her master key to enter, following hotel protocol exactly. Paris had been there with several friends, all of them clearly intoxicated or high, and had exploded at Rosa for entering, claiming it was an invasion of privacy, claiming Rosa was trying to take photos to sell to tabloids, claiming the hotel was conspiring against her.
The charges were assault and battery, false imprisonment, and criminal threatening. According to police reports and hotel security footage, Paris had physically blocked Rosa from leaving the suite, had grabbed her by the shoulders and shaken her while screaming accusations, had taken Rosa's phone and smashed it claiming Rosa had been taking pictures, then had shoved Rosa into a wall when Rosa tried to leave. The entire incident had been recorded by hotel security cameras in the hallway and by Paris's own friends who'd been filming the whole thing thinking it was funny content. Rosa had been hospitalized with a concussion and severe anxiety. Police had arrested Paris at the hotel, and now she stood in my courtroom, clearly believing her father's legendary status, her own fame, her struggles with mental health that she discussed publicly, and her image as a sensitive artist would make this disappear or at least generate sympathy. What I did in the next 47 minutes didn't just shock the courtroom. It created headlines worldwide, forced conversations about celebrity children who never face real consequences, sparked debates about the Jackson family legacy, and proved that in America, when the system works correctly, no amount of famous bloodlines, no tragic backstory, no mental health struggles place anyone above the law when they assault working people. If you believe that being Michael Jackson's daughter doesn't give you the right to assault hotel workers, that trauma and fame don't excuse violence against immigrants doing their jobs, that judges must defend working mothers even when facing music royalty, hit that subscribe button right now because what I'm about to do will show that even a Jackson faces justice. Ms. Jackson, you're charged with assault and battery, false imprisonment, and criminal threatening. How do you plead? Her lead attorney stood immediately. David Feldman, a high-powered lawyer who'd represented multiple members of the Jackson family over the years. Your Honor, my client pleads not guilty. We need to understand the context here. Ms. Jackson is the daughter of Michael Jackson, arguably the most famous person who ever lived. She grew up under constant surveillance, constant invasion of privacy, constant exploitation. Her father died when she was 11 years old under suspicious circumstances. She's dealt with depression, anxiety, PTSD, multiple suicide attempts. She's been in and out of treatment facilities. She's been exploited by family members, by the media, by people claiming to be friends. When Ms. Hernandez entered her hotel suite without proper warning, Ms. Jackson experienced a severe panic attack triggered by her history of privacy invasion and exploitation. Her reaction was a trauma response, not criminal behavior. She genuinely believed Ms. Hernandez was there to photograph her, to invade her privacy, to sell stories about her. This is what happens when you grow up as Michael Jackson's child. You can't trust anyone. Every interaction feels like a potential betrayal. Mr. Feldman, your client blocked a housekeeper from leaving, physically assaulted her, destroyed her property, and sent her to the hospital with a concussion. Trauma doesn't justify that. Ms. Jackson, how do you plead? She stood slowly, and when she spoke, her voice had that breathy, wounded quality she'd perfected in interviews about her difficult life. Not guilty, Your Honor. I want to explain what really happened because it's being portrayed as me being some spoiled celebrity who attacked a maid, and that's not true. I was in that hotel trying to work on my music, trying to have some privacy, trying to heal from things I've been dealing with. My suite was my safe space. When that woman came in without knocking properly, without giving me time to prepare, I panicked. I have severe anxiety. I have PTSD. When I'm in a vulnerable state and someone intrudes on my space, my body goes into fight or flight mode. I didn't assault her. I was protecting myself from what I perceived as a threat. Ms. Jackson, the housekeeper, knocked and announced herself. She followed hotel protocol. I didn't hear her knock. I had music on. My friends were there. It was loud. Suddenly there's this woman in my room with a card and I don't know who sent her or why she's there or if she's going to take pictures or what her agenda is. Every person who's ever worked for my family has tried to exploit us. Every housekeeper, every assistant, every driver. They all end up selling stories or suing us or trying to get money. I've been burned so many times. So you assumed Ms. Hernandez was there to exploit you? Based on my life experience, yes. That's a reasonable assumption when you're a Jackson. We'll see about that. Ms. Park, please present the evidence. The prosecutor approached with her equipment. Your Honor, we have complete security footage from the Four Seasons, audio recordings, witness statements from 3 of Ms. Jackson's friends who were present, photographs of the injuries to Ms. Hernandez, and documentation of the extensive damage to the hotel suite that Ms. Jackson is disputing responsibility for. May I present them? I nodded. The lights dimmed. The first video showed the 10th floor hallway of the Four Seasons. Rosa appeared pushing her housekeeping cart, moving slowly with the careful pace of someone whose body had cleaned thousands of rooms. She wore her uniform with pride, her name tag clearly visible. She stopped at Paris Jackson's suite, checked her assignment sheet, then knocked firmly 3 times. She waited, knocked again, announced loudly and clearly in slightly accented English, "Housekeeping, may I come in?" She waited another 20 seconds. No response. She swiped her keycard and entered, leaving her card in the hallway. The hallway camera couldn't see inside the suite, but the audio picked up everything. There was music playing, voices laughing and talking, the sounds of a party that had probably been going all night. Then Rosa's voice, professional and polite. "Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I'm housekeeping. I knocked but there was no answer. Should I come back later?" Then Paris's voice, immediately hostile and slurred. "What the hell? Who let you in here? Did someone send you? Are you taking pictures?" Rosa's voice, confused. "No, miss. I'm housekeeping. I'm here to clean your room." I knocked and announced myself. Paris's voice, getting louder. "Bullshit. You just walked in here. You're probably recording this right now. Where's your phone? Give me your phone." Rosa's voice, staying calm. "Miss, I don't know what you mean. I'm just here to clean. If this is a bad time, I'll come back later. Let me just leave." Paris's voice. "No, you're not leaving until I check if you took pictures. Where's your phone?" The audio picked up sounds of movement, Rosa saying "please let me go," Paris demanding Rosa's phone. Then one of Paris's friends, a male voice, laughing. "Yo, P, she's just the cleaning lady. Chill." Paris's voice. "How do you know? How do you know the hotel didn't send her to spy on me? They do that. They send workers to gather dirt on celebrities." Rosa's voice, firmer now. Miss Jackson, I've worked at this hotel for 22 years. I've cleaned rooms for many famous people. I would never take pictures or invade anyone's privacy. Please let me leave. Paris's voice. Show me your phone first. Empty your pockets. Rosa's voice. I don't have to do that. You're not security. I'm leaving now. Then sounds of a scuffle. Rosa crying out. The male friend saying, "Whoa, Paris, stop." Another female friend filming and giggling. Paris yelling that Rosa was trying to exploit her, trying to sell stories about her, trying to invade her privacy just like everyone else. The second video showed Rosa finally emerging from the suite 10 minutes later, clearly shaken, holding her head, walking unsteadily. She went straight to the elevator. The camera caught her leaning against the elevator wall, crying. The third piece of evidence was photos taken by hotel management of the suite after the incident. The room was completely trashed. Cigarette burns on expensive furniture. Wine stains on the carpet. Broken glasses. Room service trays from multiple days piled up. Damage that hotel management estimated at $15,000. There were also photos of Rosa's smashed phone, the screen completely shattered. The fourth piece of evidence was particularly damning. It was video filmed by one of Paris's friends on their phone, later obtained by police. The friend had been filming the whole incident, thinking it was entertaining. The video showed Paris grabbing Rosa by the shoulders, shaking her while yelling, "You people always do this. You work for my family, you get close, then you betray us. You sell stories. You take pictures. You exploit us. Well, not this time." The video showed Rosa trying to explain she just wanted to leave, trying to reach for the door. Paris blocked her path. "You're not leaving until I know you didn't take anything. Empty your pockets. Give me your phone." The friend filming was laughing, saying, "Paris, you're being paranoid," but Paris ignored them. The video showed Paris grabbing Rosa's phone from her uniform pocket, looking through it, then throwing it on the ground and stomping on it. "There. Now you can't sell any pictures." The video showed Rosa crying, begging to leave. Paris finally stepping aside but shoving Rosa hard as she passed. "Next time, knock louder. And don't ever come in my room again." The friend's voice on the video. "Damn, P, you really went off on that lady." Paris's voice. "She deserved it. They all deserve it. Everyone who works for us is just trying to use us." When the lights came back on, the courtroom was silent. Several people looked disgusted. I looked at Paris Jackson, whose face showed something between defiance and embarrassment, like she knew how bad it looked but still believed she was justified. "Ms. Jackson, you just watched yourself assault a 58-year-old housekeeper who was doing her job. You blocked her from leaving. You grabbed her, shook her, destroyed her phone, shoved her into a wall. And your friend filmed it while laughing. Do you still maintain this was a panic attack?" David Feldman stood quickly. "Your Honor, my client was in an altered state due to medication and substances. She wasn't thinking clearly. The video shows she was paranoid, which is consistent with the mental health issues we've documented. She genuinely believed Ms. Hernandez was a threat. This is what PTSD looks like. This is what growing up as Michael Jackson's child does to you. Mr. Feldman, your client had a conversation. She made accusations. She searched Rosa's phone. She made deliberate choices. That's not a panic attack. That's assault motivated by entitlement. Ms. Hernandez, please approach." Rosa stood slowly, moving stiffly, still recovering from her injuries. She walked forward with quiet dignity, her hands clasped in front of her. Up close I could see she was small, maybe 5 feet 2 inches, and looked even older than 58 from years of hard physical work. She wore her best dress, simple and clean, and looked at me with the respectful fear of someone who'd spent her life being invisible to powerful people. "Ms. Hernandez, tell me about your work." She spoke with a thick accent, her English careful and practiced. "Your Honor, I come to America from Guatemala 30 years ago. I have 4 children. I work very hard always. I clean offices, I clean houses, I clean hotels. For 22 years I work at 4 Seasons. It is very good job. I am proud of my work. I take care of every room like it is my own home. I am always respectful, always professional, always quiet. I clean many rooms for famous people, actors, musicians, politicians. I never tell anyone what I see. I never take pictures. I never sell stories. That is not who I am. I work to support my family. I send money to my mother in Guatemala. I help pay for my grandchildren's school. My job is everything to me. Have you ever had a problem with a guest before? Never like this, Your Honor. Sometimes guests are rude, sometimes they don't want cleaning, sometimes they complain. But I always stay professional. I always follow the rules. I knock loud, I announce myself, I wait. If guest says come back later, I come back later. Simple. Tell me what happened with Ms. Jackson. Your Honor, I was assigned to her suite. It was on my list. I go at 2 p.m. like always. I knock hard 3 times. I wait. I say loud, housekeeping, may I come in? I wait more. No answer. Music is playing inside, but I think maybe nobody is there, maybe they left music on. So I use my key and I enter. This is what we do every day. This is hotel policy. When I open door, I see many people inside. Young people. Room is very messy. I say, oh, excuse me. I am so sorry. I knocked but no answer. Should I come back later? I am polite. I am respectful. But Miss Jackson, she is very angry immediately. She yells at me. She says I didn't knock. But I did knock. She says I am trying to take pictures. But I would never. She says I am trying to exploit her family. But I don't even know much about her family. I know her father was very famous singer, but I don't follow celebrity news. I just clean rooms. Tears filled her eyes. She grabs my shoulders and shakes me. She is yelling that her family is always betrayed by workers. I try to explain I am just housekeeper, I am not trying to hurt anyone. But she doesn't listen. She takes my phone from my pocket. I say please, that is my phone. I need it to call my daughter, my grandchildren. But she throws it on ground and breaks it. That phone costs me $300. I save money to buy it. Then I try to leave and she pushes me very hard. I fall against the wall. I hit my head. Everything goes dizzy. Her friends are laughing, making video. Nobody helps me. Finally she lets me go and I leave. I go to elevator and I cry. I have never been treated like this. Never. I go to hospital because my head hurts so much. Doctor says I have concussion. I cannot work for 3 weeks. No work means no money. My family needs my money. My daughter has to take time off her job to take care of me. Everything is difficult because Miss Jackson hurt me. She looked at Paris directly. Miss Jackson, I understand your father was very famous. I understand your life has been hard. But I am also a person. I am a mother. I am a grandmother. I work hard every day. I never hurt anyone. And you hurt me very bad because you think all workers are trying to use you. But we are not. We are just trying to live. The courtroom was completely silent except for Rosa's quiet crying. Several people in the gallery were crying too. I looked at Paris Jackson, who was staring at her hands, her face showing something that might have been shame or might have been calculation about how to spin this for her followers. Ms. Jackson, you heard Rosa's testimony. She's a 58-year-old immigrant who's worked honestly for 22 years. She knocked, she announced herself, she followed protocol. Yet you physically assaulted her because you assumed she was there to exploit you. What do you have to say? She stood slowly, and when she spoke, her voice shook slightly. Your Honor, I feel terrible about what happened to Rosa. I really do, but you have to understand my life. I'm Michael Jackson's daughter. Do you know what that means? It means every person who's ever been close to my family has tried to use us. Housekeepers have sold stories. Security guards have written books. Doctors killed my father. Everyone wants a piece of the Jackson legacy. Everyone wants money from us. I grew up with no privacy. Paparazzi outside my house every day. People breaking into our property. Staff selling information about us. I've been betrayed by people I trusted. So yes, when someone enters my private space unexpectedly, I panic. I assume the worst. Because in my experience, the worst is usually true. I didn't mean to hurt Rosa. I was in a bad state mentally. I'd been drinking. I was on medication. My judgment was impaired. If I could go back, I would handle it differently. But in that moment, I truly believed she was a threat. Ms. Jackson, being Michael Jackson's daughter doesn't mean every worker is trying to exploit you. Rosa has worked 22 years without ever selling a single story. I understand that now, but in the moment, I didn't know that. All I knew was someone was in my room uninvited. She knocked and announced herself. You didn't hear her because you and your friends were partying. She looked away, no answer for that. Ms. Jackson, here's what I see. I see a privileged young woman who inherited millions from her famous father. I see someone who's used their tragic backstory to excuse bad behavior for years. I see someone who treated a hard-working immigrant like she was less than human because of paranoia and entitlement. Here is my finding. You are guilty of assault and battery. The video evidence is clear. You physically attacked Rosa Hernandez. You are guilty of false imprisonment because you blocked her from leaving for 10 minutes. You are guilty of destruction of property for destroying her phone. And you are guilty of criminal threatening because you made her fear for her safety. Her face went pale. She looked at her attorney desperately, but he had no magic solution. Here is your sentence. For assault and battery on a worker, 2 years in county jail. For false imprisonment, 1 year consecutive. For destruction of property and criminal threatening, 6 months concurrent. Total of 3 years in custody. The courtroom erupted. Her attorneys were objecting loudly. Her publicists were typing frantically. The Jackson family estate representative was on the phone. Paris herself looked genuinely shocked, tears streaming down her face now, real ones, not performed. David Feldman was yelling, "Your Honor, 3 years for Michael Jackson's daughter? She's a troubled young woman who needs treatment, not prison. She has documented mental health issues. Her father's death traumatized her. She's attempted suicide multiple times. Prison will destroy her. Mr. Feldman, your client assaulted a grandmother who was cleaning her hotel room. Mental health issues explain behavior but don't excuse it. Additionally, I'm ordering Ms. Jackson to pay $750,000 in restitution to Rosa Hernandez. This includes medical expenses, lost wages, pain and suffering, the cost of her destroyed phone, and a substantial amount because your client has significant inherited wealth and showed no remorse until convicted. I'm also ordering Ms. Jackson to complete anger management, substance abuse treatment, and a program specifically about respecting service workers. And I'm recommending she be banned from the Four Seasons hotel chain permanently." Paris found her voice, sobbing now. "You don't understand what it's like being a Jackson. You don't understand the pressure, the paranoia, the constant betrayal. Ms. Jackson, Rosa Hernandez works 60-hour weeks to support her family. She sends money to her mother in Guatemala. She put 4 children through school. She's worked honestly for 22 years. Don't talk to me about pressure. You inherited millions and assaulted a woman who earns $15 an hour. Bailiff, take her into custody." Officers approached. Paris was crying harder now, looking at her boyfriend desperately. "Don't let them do this. Call my family. Call my uncle. Get me out of this." As they handcuffed her, she was still crying. "This isn't fair. My dad would never let this happen. If my dad was alive, this wouldn't be happening." Rosa was still standing at the witness area. Paris looked at her through tears. "I'm sorry, Rosa. I really am sorry. I was wrong." Rosa nodded quietly. "I forgive you, Miss Jackson. I hope you get help. Real help." The doors closed. Within minutes, it was international news. Michael Jackson's daughter arrested, sentenced to 3 years. Social media exploded. Her fans claimed she was being persecuted. Others said finally, accountability for the Jackson family. Music industry figures weighed in. Mental health advocates debated whether prison was appropriate. 2 weeks later, multiple former employees of the Jackson family came forward with their own stories of abuse, mistreatment, and threats from various family members who believed all workers were trying to exploit them. Paris Jackson is currently serving her sentence at Linwood Correctional Facility. Rosa Hernandez received her restitution and continues working at the Four Seasons, where management has implemented new safety protocols for housekeepers dealing with difficult guests. She donated $100,000 of her restitution to a charity supporting immigrant workers' rights. If this story moved you, subscribe. Share it with anyone who needs to understand that famous last names don't place you above the law, that service workers deserve dignity and respect regardless of who they're serving, that tragedy and mental health struggles don't excuse violence against vulnerable people. Paris Jackson used her father's legacy and her own trauma as justification in my courtroom. I gave her 3 years and proved that in America, even Michael Jackson's daughter faces justice when she hurts working people.